Hi there, hi everybody. Probably it's a bit too sudden for someone to be here just yet, but I was doing some rigging for the video game I'm working on, which is River Tales, the game. You will find the link in the description of the video. And I thought, I have to do this anyway. The people from River Tales are so friendly that they gave me the opportunity to talk about this project as I work on it, so why not do it? So in here I was rigging this character, very low poly, and I really need to skin the fingers, you see, they're a bit off. So I'm going to do it probably with the component editor in Maya, so I'm going to grab it. So I'm going to rig some low poly character. I need to skin the fingers and I want to do it with the component editor. Let's see how this works. Let's see how lucky we get. So in here on the smooth skins I find the number of the fingers, the names, and this should be the third part of the index, I guess. So if I just select all the values and input 1, this finger should be only controlled, this part of the finger should be only controlled by the third phalanx. The plan I have is to then smooth the skin weights somehow. I guess maybe this guy could be set to 1 and this guy could be set to, I guess this is index 1, index 2, so maybe a dot 5 here and a dot 5 on index 2. There you go. Now if I curl the index, it should work okay. Yeah, sort of. I need to smooth the weights, but all in all it works. I'm going to do the same in here. The problem is that when I curl a finger, I get the other fingers moving as well, because the model being modeled so with the geometry so close to one another, when you skin it makes it a bit more difficult. Nothing terrible, but still a bit more difficult. So there you go, this goes to 1. This would be the middle number 2, I guess, and this goes to 1, and these guys would probably go with middle 1, I guess. Yeah, that could be the case. There you go. And these guys around the connection, probably halfway between the hand joint and the first phalanx of the middle finger. So let's say, I think wrist R is our man there, so I'm going to set wrist R and middle finger 1 to dot 5 each. You see that, however, this didn't work. It worked on wrist, so I can hold the weight on wrist and then set the remaining weights to middle finger 1. Whoa, they don't really. The hold didn't work. Go figure. So I'm going to zero out. There you go, and get in there. If I'm setting the middle finger joint on hold, then when I remove skin weights from this column, it's not going to move onto the middle finger, but it's going to move onto the wrist R. So there you go, see, it works. Just remember to toggle the hold off. There you go, and you see now we get a decent deformation there. Not too bad. Let's check the index. The index needs the index needs some love now. So I'm going to just grab these vertices, and with the component editor I'm going to give, I need to skin them a little bit better then. I can't use the component editor anymore in here, so I will I will have to skin them a little bit later, maybe later. Let's do this. Oops, sorry. Let's do this. Waiting here. So these guys are definitely with the third phalanx of... Ooh, and not the middle finger. What am I doing here? This should be the pinky, right? It's not updating. Ah, there you go. It wasn't updated. So these guys should be with the pinky. Let's have a look. There you go. And then I'm going to grab... This guy is probably half the way between pinky 2 and pinky 3, but right now they are totally connected with pinky 2, so I'm going to leave them this way. And this is definitely a pinky finger 2 thing, and these guys will be pinky finger 1. There you go. And so we have this final bit in here. We're going to play the same trick we did earlier on. So half the way between the wrist, the cup, we have a cup joint, the cup joint and the pinky finger joint. So .5 in there. And for whichever reason, sometimes it doesn't work and I can't really figure out why. So I'm just going to lock this weight and just set this to 0. They should move to the cup, and indeed they do. There you go. So now I should be able to bend the pinky, there you go, without any other finger being affected. Same thing for the middle, and same thing for the index. The index really, I positioned the joints somewhere where I thought the proportions would be right, but the geometry isn't quite there to support these deformations. So I might have to think something there. For now, maybe one thing that I can do is to go grab the pinky. Oh, actually the index. There you go. And gently add some influence to this set of vertices. And that should give me a much better skin. Let's have a look. I already have some calisthenics put on in there. Let's see. Yeah, it's kind of alright. It's not beautiful. And I guess this set of vertices would need to go half the way between the two joints. This is a problem of topology, really. If I had an edge loop right there, I would be done. So maybe this could be a little bit more on the first phalanx than it is on the second. Let's see how that works. Yeah, that works okay. So I can increase it a little bit. And similarly, these guys, I could maybe increase... Oh, actually, you see, there is a bit of... Maybe I could increase the weight that the first phalanx is having on... Actually, the second. 1, 2, and 3. I see where the problem is in here. This guy's skinned to the wrong. Hi, Kaustub. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Welcome aboard. So I'm rigging for a video game, an indie video game, which is still yet to be published. The game is called River Tales, the game, and the people from River Tales actually allowed me to show the progress, which is great, because I really wanted to do that. And here's the link to the game if you're interested. So in here I'm just skinning some stuff. I have some fingers to skin, and I'm trying to fix some of the deformation in here. Hopefully it won't take long. So let's have a look. Hi Gabriele. Gabriele, this is a totally improvised session. I just thought, well, I need to do this anyway, right? I need to do this anyway. So let's do it live and call it a day. At least I can talk to someone in the meantime. So Let's see, let's have a look at these deformations in here. I think they should be skinned a little bit more onto the first phalanx. Something like this. I just need to have those weights listed really in the component editor, and once they're listed I can just affect the values with my manual input, for instance. And let's have a look. So index 1, so this should be index 1. I can raise it a little bit, there you go, to make the deformation a bit softer, and I think all in all we should be okay already. If I look at the calisthenics, the deformations are kind of alright. This one, maybe this one needs some love, right? Again, it's a problem with the topology, which is very low poly more than anything else. I mean, it's not a party breaker, and in practice, if this is a secondary character in a game, I don't think I need to go to have much more topology than this, really. But in this case, maybe I can skin this part a little bit onto the second phalanx. Something like this, I guess. And I guess I can maybe, you see, I can't skin anything with the paintbrush if I have selected some vertices. So the selection of the vertices is actually acting as a mask, which is a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. It's a good thing because this way I can't accidentally skin other fingers. It's a bad thing because sometimes you just want to move on to the next fingers, and that makes it more difficult. In here, I think this is phalanx 1, this is phalanx 2. So I think I need to increase the weight on phalanx 2. There you go, in fact that's the case. So let's go even higher. There you go. That's a bit better, I guess. And these guys, maybe this could go on to phalanx 2 a little bit more. There you go, and that gives me a nicer deformation. So now that I have my skin, I can maybe have a look and see whether the calisthenics are working alright. They are sort of okay. I mean, I'm doing a lot more deformation than I need to do in game, I think. So let's have a look and see. I mean, this stuff, I will skin it very roughly, and then I will try it in game. I will ask the River Tales people what do they think of it, whether it works. We will put it in game and we will see if it needs more love. For now, I think I'm happy with the result. I'm particularly interested in checking whether the deformation of the elbow works in here, and it looks okay. There is some volume loss, but again, we have to imagine, yesterday I was streaming about animation, we have to imagine that probably the animation is going to look a bit like this, the point of view. Hi, the Deux yes, it's based on that plugin. So in here, but now I'm just skinning. So that's it. I think I'm fine. Now I have to do the facials, and I'm going to use my own rig system for the facial. Well, rig system. I have a rig which I made. I don't know if I could dare to call it a rig system anyway. So now that I have everything sorted in here, I can maybe zero it out. There you go. And save it. And I need to, oof, that's not zeroed out. And I need to call in my facial rig. There you go. So let's save this, and I'm going to open another Maya window. I'm really interested in plugging my facial rig in there. This is blocked. And so let's open up the previous rig I've made. And I also will have to check my notes because it's a few weeks since I rigged anything since I plugged my facial rig onto anything. So I don't really remember how my own facial rig works. So, which is interesting in itself. It's loading, it's getting there. There you go. So this is another character of the same game, and the facial rig was letting me move individual parts of the rig. In practice, I am manipulating texturing in there, and then with a sprite selector, I can change the shape of the textures and do the animation I need. It's quite handy. It's not very flexible for animation. I mean, if you have to do a lot of facials, I don't recommend using this technique. But again, we always have to have a look at what the game is. If this is the point of view of the game, it means that facial animation is not really a priority. We will have some cinematics, and I did animate a couple of socials, one of which actually can be seen on the website of the game. Actually, let's fire it up. So I did animate this social animation using these very rigs, and it was okay. I mean, I didn't really, again, there is facial animation going on in here, but it's not as massive as one would think, and I could handle it with the textures rather than a fully fledged 3D rig. Also, one has to remember that there will be plenty of characters in this game, so I don't really want to, for every character, have, I don't know, 20 more joints in the face. So in here, this is my facial rig. I have to check my notes about rigging, because I don't remember how I plugged this into something else. Just a second, I have to open up my technical document. It's a good idea to build yourself a wiki of what you do as you work, so at least you know what you were doing. So body rig, okay. Okay. So, well, let's do it. I think I could possibly import this very rig into the scene and connect it, because if I remember well, when I did it, I did create a rigging mode, and when I go from rigging to animation mode, you see I have the original geometry that I then project onto the face. With these controllers, I can position the geometry before it being projected. So I guess I will use this one. It could work. There's also a neat feature that I implemented, for which when I position one eye, the other one automatically gets mirrored positioning. I won't be able to go into the detail of this rig. I'm not very proud of it, by the way. I think it works, but it could have been a lot better, so I'm a bit disappointed by it, to be honest. But again, it was developed in just a few days. So in here I need, this is the face rig, and these guys are the joints. So all these guys have to go with me. So I'm going to delete anything else. I didn't really have the time to write a script to position this stuff. There you go. Or to build a rig. So I'm going to just clean up this scene and use this as my facial rig. It's a good idea to remember to delete unused nodes when you are transferring data from one Maya session to another. I'm going to save this as my facial rig and see. Face. And see what happens if I now go back to my rig. Actually, I opened up the wrong rig, this guy. And if I import the face, remember I'm an animator more than a rigger, so I will not have my own rig machine. So in here, let's import the face. The face is actually referencing a bunch of subsets, a bunch of sub-rigs. And the reference is maintained, you see, through the import. So I'm actually I'm importing just some data. The rest is actually coming from another rig that I built for the face. So there's a nested structure of rigs. If I open up the reference editor, you will see that the face contains a repetition of rigs. There's one rig for every element of the face rig, and they're always the same rig repeating, always the same rig, so that when I change the original rig, every single element will inherit the change. This way I can make it a bit faster. So now I can bring up these guys and hopefully position them. I really want to remove some of the namespace in here, just because I have selection sets set up for animation already, and I want the namespaces to be consistent. So face rig is actually called face rig 1. So I will go back to my scene and I will just go namespace editor, and face rig 1 is fine, but I just don't want to have face, so let's delete that. And let's delete the fish namespace. So now I should be back with a structure which is completely identical to the one I had in the other rig. That's good. And this GUI I made is still working. That's great. So now it's time for me to position these guys. So let's move everything there. And again, let's have a look at where the mouth should go. In fact, I probably should check some character design here. Let me ask the team whether I can find some character design. And let's check if I have, or actually, you know what? Let me see if on the game itself I have an idea. There you go. So the frogs are these guys. So well, now I know where the mouth, now I know where the mouth and eyes should go. So it's probably going to be here, somewhere over here. And the idea is that I will duplicate this geometry and then shrink wrap it on the surface of the face. Now let's also position these guys, and then I will not really delete these guys. Say I need them again, I will not want to delete them. It's probably a good idea. Maybe I could just snap the controller rotation to the controller of the eye. There you go. And then just, oof, sorry. You know what? Let's just do it manually then, because I don't want to lose anything there. There you go. Something like this, I guess. And then I can duplicate this gel. I don't know if these guys have eyebrows. Let me check. Where are the frogs? Give me the frogs. Oh. This is the music from the side. Okay, so these are the frogs. They don't seem to have eyebrows, so that's good. So maybe we won't need to use the eyebrows. So once I'm ready with these guys, I can just, maybe I want to rotate them a little bit better. Go to the front view and let's position them precisely, right? That would make a lot more sense. I think in the end I would probably have to do something about the fact that the eye in here is very round, but in the geometry we don't have that kind of roundness to it. There you go. Now let's try and see if this works. I'm going to duplicate the eyes, and for now I'm part the gel, and then I'm going to grab the mouth as well, duplicate the gel, unparent it, and with these guys now I can go into animation mode. I don't need the placer anymore, and then it's time to shrink wrap. Let's do it. So under deform we're going to shrink wrap the geometry there. See, the first result of shrink wrap is always a disappointment. true to the philosophy of 3D, for which the first thing never really works. Let's try it. Vertex normals, that's a lot better. And of course, in this case, the geometry is just a bit too big to fit the face. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, move the offset out. Actually, maybe I could inflate. If I inflate, I get rid of those problems I had originally with the geometry, you see, being outside and jerking somewhere. So something like this will work, I guess. Maybe I can move it a little bit lower. Something like this. So this is going to be my geo, and at any time I can reduplicate, reproject, because this texture is controlled by the rigging system anyway. See that? I can duplicate the geometry and reproject anytime I want, which was one of the features I really wanted to have in my rig anyway. So I just don't remember the settings of my shrink wrap in the previous versions of the rig. Let me check if I wrote anything in my notes in another screen. Which I probably did. Let's see. Okay, so let's go back to my rig in there, and as a setting, vertex normal is okay. And let's see what else. I think this should be okay. Maybe I can try and move the face a little bit, the mouth a little bit closer. And I can do it with inverse offset. See that? So I've inflated the target so that I would get rid of the vertices at the corner, those popping out of the geometry. And then I am using negative offset to bring the geometry back. And that gives me a nice behavior, a predictable one. Now it's time to shrink wrap. This one is going to be tougher to shrink wrap. Let's see what happens there. So I'm going to go deform, shrink wrap. That's interesting. Let's try again. 1 and 2. Let me check if I have any history there with the shrink wrap. No, I don't. So shrink wrap. Didn't quite work. That's interesting. Let me try once more. So, actually, this has a shrink wrap already. Let me delete the history. So 1 and 2 and go shrink wrap. Well, let's have a look at the settings then. So there you go, this guys. Towards inner object. Let's try vertex normal. That's better. But you see, it gives me these vertices which are not moving because there is no intersection area. And I could try a number of options, maybe towards center and closest if there is no intersection. But you see that it doesn't quite preserve the shape. I get a lot of deformation that I don't really want. I wonder if I use bounding box center, that looks a little bit better, and maybe then I can scale up. And then after scaling up, I can move the offset out. Maybe I can inflate the target a little bit. So this could work, but it does deform the texture quite a lot on the corner there. And this is due to this geometry being low poly. So it's a bit of a bummer, really, that I get that deformation there. So let's see what happens if I inflate this even more. It's a bit of a dirty job I'm doing here. There you go, something like this. Seems to be working okay. Let's go from the front view. Yes, okay. So maybe I can make this a little bit bigger until I find that there is deformation occurring. So something like this, probably a good idea, but I don't really feel like I need the full envelope for this work. I could use half the envelope, for instance, and this should give me a decent enough positioning, I could use negative offset. So this is a very different set of values than the one I used for other characters in the same games. Guess I can go a lot more negative in here. There you go, something like this should work. I wish I could have it even closer. Let's go negative with the inflate values. There you go, and this is close enough. Maybe we can try and increase the envelope again. Oof. No, I think that's... I will have to work with this, I guess. So now I have the values, and I will have to match those values on the opposite side. So I'm going to, in fact, what am I doing in here? In fact, I might as well just do the shrink wrap all at once with the two pieces of geometry. This way I will get certainly the same values. There you go. Oh, thank you, Teuxoseo. I don't know how to pronounce the name, sorry. If it's a true name, or maybe it's just a handle. So I'm going to grab both guys, but they're two different geometries. Okay, I get it. I have to do it for both. That sucks. But in theory, I could grab these guys and do a shrink wrap. Then let's see if I can copy the shrink wrap values somehow. What happens, for instance, if I key the shrink wrap, copy the key, go to the opposite shrink wrap and paste that key. Let's see if that works. Ooh, only the envelope gets duplicated. Well, okay, well, we're going to work with that. I'm sure there is a way to copy those values, but if I copy the tab, I can have the tab of that new shrink wrap in there, shrink wrap 9. Let's maybe call it left eye shrink wrap. And this guy here has shrink wrap 8. Let's call it right eye shrink wrap so that I know what they do. And I no longer need those keys. I really wanted to have to just duplicate the keys and call it a day. I really dislike this way of managing windows. There you go, but it didn't work. So I'm going to just copy the values. So that's the left eye, and this is the right eye that I have in here. So I can go back to the left eye, and I have a toward center as a setting, closest if no intersection, and as an offset this value, and as a target inflation this value, and I use bounded box center. The result is different because probably the scale is different. Let's have a look. Yeah, this is the scale you see in here. So I need to have the same scale on the geometry on the opposite side. There you go. I wish I coded my own system to just do this, but it's good enough. And now I have, I mean, in game we won't be seeing that geometry. That's what we will be seeing in game, and that's good enough. And now with the, in here you have some flickering of the geometry. This is due to the clipping plane of the camera. So if I open up the camera and I create less difference between the clipping plane near and far, there you go. I have my facial animation in there. Now I can just control the way the frog looks at things in life. And I should be able to also control the blink. Let's see. There you go. I can control the shapes. That's cool. The mouth should be the same. Right now we have some mouth shapes in there. So I should be able to control the mouse as well. Nice. So we have our little character there. the problem we're going to get is as we move the geometry down, you see that's what's going to happen. So I mean the skinning needs to be translated between the objects. Let me save this frog to begin with as a version 2 with facials. There you go. And then, well, now that I've shrink wrapped, it maybe would be a good idea to store a setting of this geometry somewhere. But maybe one thing that I could do is, let's go in here. This guy I don't need. That's an old stuff. That's old stuff. So this geometry is going to be original shrink wrap geo. I'm going to keep it for history purposes. Just put it on and don't touch. And then I'm going to duplicate it once more. And if I duplicate it once more, the duplicate will not have a history anymore. There will be no shrink wrap. So that means that at any time I can go back to the original shrink wrap and change the settings and maybe duplicate them and get the geometry I actually need. It's a good idea before you rig stuff to just freeze the scale on things and freeze rotation and translation as well. And now these guys, they need to be skinned to the same geometry that is guiding the rest of the rig. So for instance, with the same geometry, I guess. So for instance, this eye is skinned to that eye joint that you see in there. Ooh, look at that. Let me hide the original shrink wrap. So I can just grab the geometry, grab the skin joint and just bind the skin, making sure that in the settings I have bind selected joints so that I don't accidentally bind the geometry to all the joints in the hierarchy, but only to that single joint that I need. So there you go, and I do the same on the opposite side. Once I will be done with the skinning, one thing that I can do is to select all of the geometry and maybe combine it. And as you combine it, there is an attribute that lets you combine the skinning into a single skin cluster, which is quite useful to have. So I think that's my plan for the future. And now as I move the eyes around, I can place them wherever I want, and at the same time I can animate the texture on them. So it's a kind of a win-win situation, I think. And this mouth part is a bit trickier to fix. First of all, I want to maybe select the geometry of this kind of dome, which is the body of the character. And I want to find which joints are going to drive it. And I have a script that does it. If you select the geometry with the script, you click on the script and it selects the joints which are affecting that geometry. With those joints selected, I can now go in and select the mouth shape and just attach the skin. And now the mouth shape will be connected to the same geometry. Except in here you see that it doesn't quite deform the way you would want to. And anyway, there is a little bit of a problem with the skinning there. So I guess this is the time for us to maybe hide this guy for a second and check that the deformation here are working the way they should. And you see they really don't. Let's have a look for a second at the calisthenics for these guys. Ooh. So I guess in here, let's go back to 0. And let's have a look at these values that I have on this loop. In general, if you have high-res geometry, using the component editor is not really handy. But we don't have high-res geometry, so maybe we can go in here and say the chest affects this by 50%. And I guess this will be locked then. And the head joint, right now it has a massive influence on some parts. I'm going to lower it and just then lock this. And then finally we have, I kind of feel like this is an old rig. I'm so sure I already tweaked all this stuff. All of this stuff I can zero out. There you go, so that it will be Oof. Let me just zero out the shoulders. I don't need this part to be affecting the shoulders, or being affected by the shoulders. The neck should be dot free. There you go. And now we should have a little bit of a nicer deformation there. Let's see. There you go. A lot nicer indeed. I am not sure about these guys. So these guys have the same issue. They should really be attached to the root more than anything else. So maybe I can give a 0.2 on the root. Oh, sorry, 0.8. What am I doing here? Oh, the chest is still on as a locked influence. 0.8. The root will be then locked off, and the rest will be taken by the chest. There you go. And this should give me, hopefully, a decent deformation as well. There you go. Cool. Nice. So now let's bring back the face. Let's check the deformation. And the deformation will need some love. Let's check what this control does. Okay, so all in all, we have decent stuff. I feel like I should try the head controller as well, which seems to be okay. I feel like the left hand side of the character is working much better, so I am going to select the geometry, go skin, and the mirror skin. I want to have the nice weights that I have on the left to the right, so I'm going to go on X, positive to negative, so this way I should get exactly the same deformation left and right. To transfer the skin weights, you can try... Hi King's Zone, welcome aboard. To transfer the skin weights, you can try a bunch of options. One being the tool from Maya skin. If you go on the skin and transfer skin weights, somewhere there's a copy skin weights. What am I talking about? So I'm going to skin, copy skin weights. I'm going to use closest point on surface as an algorithm, and I need to select a source and a destination. There you go, and I copy the skin weights, and you see that now the face, the mouth deforms nicely. When I bend inside too much, that's what I get in there. That's not good, and that comes from the fact that I am too close to the geometry in there. So this is going to be a problem, which I'm going to solve by deleting this geometry, duplicating the original shrink wrap mesh, remember? And that's why we duplicated it in the first place. This way we can always come back, or actually, before duplicating it, let's position it. So, since I kept the original geometry in here, this means that I now can go in there anytime I need. I don't really need this guy. I can go back every time I need and tweak the shrink wrap attributes to maybe move the geometry a bit more to the side, a bit more out, so that I will get less problems when I skin. And then I can unparent, and I can try skinning very quickly. I select the body, I select the joints that are driving the body, then I select the geometry, I skin to the same joints, and then I select again the body, the new geometry, and I copy vertex weight. Too many things selected. Ooh, let me check again. I select the body, I select the mouth, and I copy vertex weight. Oh, what's going on? Copy skin weights. Sorry, I mean, where's my head? There you go. And this way you can check live whether the new setting works. And you see that just by moving the mouth, let's hide the original shrink wrap. Just by moving the geometry a bit more outside, I now get a lot more flexibility. And it's a good idea as you rig, especially if you're not a rigger like me and you don't have your own rigging machine. It's a good idea to keep flexibility and be able to come back and forth between steps you've made in rigging. So there you go. Now it's probably a good idea to save this thing. And this will be my version 3 of the rig. The facials are connected. There you go. And this in practice should be okay for animation already. Let's have a look at the ankles. I fixed them earlier on before the call. Before I decided to do the live stream, I was already working on this. The ankles are working okay. There should be some decent rolling going on in there. Yes. Okay, cool. I probably will want to have independent controls for the fingers in here. But right now the main problem I have is that probably I didn't mirror the skin weights. There's something going on in there that doesn't quite work. I'm pretty sure I skinned things the wrong way. So first of all, let's mirror the skin weights from negative to positive X. So this one goes off. There you go. Now let's have a look at which mess I've made. I think when I was skinning the index, I accidentally skinned the vertices to the wrong place. So I guess by moving the index here, there you go. So if I move the index here, I guess I will get the same problem. So let's have a look at which mess I did in here. So maybe one thing that I could do to make the skinning of the index a lot easier is just to go in here and just curl the finger out. So this way, when I skin, I really won't risk to skin other fingers that I don't want to touch. So in here, the problem is that I accidentally skinned this part to index to the index on the other side. Ah, ciao Simone. Hi, come stai? We have Simone aboard. So in here, I accidentally skinned this part of the finger to the left-hand side of the character. I really don't want that. So one trick that you can employ in here and see if you get lucky is to hold all the weights. So let's go to the rigging. I should have a script that does it. So that holds, you see, now the weights are untouchable. So I can unlock this guy. I want to change this influence. And maybe I can unlock the joint I want to move this influence to. So this would be index finger to R, I guess. Index finger to R. This guy here. I'm going to unlock it. Now, let's see if that works. If I now reduce the weight on this finger in here, I should be able to transfer it automatically to the other finger. Let's see if that's the case. I'm going to replace this, or actually scale this down. Let's replace it with 0. Opacity 1, value 0. So this weight should automatically go to the only joint which is free, which is the actual joint I want this weight to go onto. If I am correct in my assumption in here, now I should be able to see the influence there. Bam, it works. Got lucky, I guess, or maybe not, who knows. So, but you never know with Maya. So let's unlock all the skin weights. So let's toggle the skin weights off. Are you the one? Yeah, you're the one. And now as I move the index on the opposite side, I still move the opposite side, but when I move the opposite side, hopefully, I forgot something, some vertices in there. Let's go back and let's redo the trick, I guess. Oh, I see, index 1 was also skinned the wrong way. I don't know what I was thinking. So let's set index 1 free for the left hand side and the same on the right hand side. And now I want to go to the left hand side and just hi Simone, mesmerizing, thanks. Actually, Simone, I did ask Gerardo about the barbecue. I don't know if we can say it here. Let's see when it happens. So in here I'm going, thank you for stopping by, Simone. It's nice to see you. Hi, silent sound from Digitrus. Oh, you're from Digitrace. Hi. Ciao. It's nice to talk to someone from there. So in here, I can reduce, I guess, that weight on the right hand side. So let's grab this and just replace it with a value of 0. Now, since every skin weight is on hold in here, apart from the only one I really need the influence to go to, this should automatically work. Let's see, let's set the hold to free and let's pray. Don't forget, don't look at this side. Bad side. Let's not look at it. Now, there you go. Oh, it's never over in here, but now it's just one finger. Let's see this guy. Let's see who's controlling this guy. Oh, you know what? Let's play the same trick. So we hold everything. Then we go find which one is the culprit, that finger number 2, yes. And then we go find the opposite finger number 2, unlock, go to the finger number 2 that we don't want to have anymore, and just flood. There you go. Phew. There should really be an AI doing this. I read a paper long ago about an AI auto-skinning stuff. In practice, you will give the, and I'm pretty sure it's a thing, in practice you will give it a geometry, the AI would reverse engineer the position of joints and create the joints and then create the skinning for you. I'm pretty sure it's helpful for a lot of cases. I can see how this could be helpful. So now I have the skinning that works, that's cool. So now I can just mirror the skin weights, I guess. To mirror the skin weights, a requirement is that you are in the T-pose and you're perfectly symmetrical. Otherwise, the Maya tool by default won't work. Or, well, rather, it will work, but not the way you expect. So now I go from minus X to positive, so minus to positive. See, yes, silent sound. I think your nickname is way too good for me to understand who you are. So if you pass over to LinkedIn and you drop me a message, I'm sure I will understand who you are. So I'm going to mirror these skin weights. There you go. And I'm going to just, there you have it. There you go. I'm not quite happy about this skin weight, and in fact I could play a trick. I could grab these vertices. I could have played this trick earlier, but I wanted to do everything with native tools in Maya. But just to show you the power of a tool that I'm using. So I'm using a tool named ng-skin tool every now and then. I'm in touch with the developer, and ng-skin tools is a relax section, and in here you can relax the weight, and that gives you in general better results than a lot of the smoothing you can do in Maya. Let's try with the new version. I have a bunch of versions of the same tool to try in here. So let's move it. Let's see what happens. So there you go. And that gives me a little bit of a nicer deformation. Again, I will never get to this pose in production, I guess, but you never know. I'm going to delete the custom nodes. And I'm probably going to post the link to ng-skin tools in the description of this video. There you go. Save. And now I should be done. Let me just mirror again just for safety. There you go. And in here, there you have it. So we're done. We have our character and we can animate it in game finally, or rather we can do some calisthenics with it, I suppose. I think this being a frog, and if I go to the web page of the game, the frog, you see they always stay in this position. I think it's going to be interesting to pose these guys. I really hope they are far away from the camera, so maybe I can just make a test scene with this guy and see how that works. I still haven't created the joint chain for the game engine. Right now I'm just working with a generic joint chain, but then at the later stage I'm going to transfer the skinning to a game skeleton joint chain. But for now I'm just interested in making sure that the rig works. And the rig works. That's cool. What else? I think I need to write a note to myself that I will need controllers on the fingers of the hand, because right now I don't have those. So just a second while I take note of the stuff. So I will need fingers controllers, I guess. And then I will need a game skeleton joint system, because right now the game skeleton is not designed for games. So I will need to transfer the weights. And I will have to rationalize the structure of the system, because the problem is rationalize. Just a second. I wish I was a rigger with my own rig machine, and this old stuff would be all taken care of by my own script. But the thing is, I need to do the animation of this project as well, so I didn't really have time to script a whole pipeline. What do I mean by rationalizing? By rationalizing, I mean that every rig I'm making has the same structure. It has a place where the unity geometry is kept, and a place where the game chain is is kept. So I want all of my rigs to have the same structure, so that once we are in game, we will have the same structure, and the people dealing with the game won't swear at me because everything will work the same way. So hopefully they will be happy or happier. So there you go. Let's save, and that's sorted for now. I'm not going to do the rationalization in here live, because the problem is that I have some music which I use to cover the noise of the mic and for the stream itself, and also I'm talking, and when I'm talking and when I'm listening to music, I just can't do these kind of jobs without screwing up. So during a live, I will always do jobs that I know I can handle somehow mentally, but it's just too difficult to improvise things for me and in a live and do things that I need to think about intensely and solve problems. So I will go back to an animation part right now. So last night I was streaming and I was animating a cat galloping. So I managed to finish the animation during the live, but I didn't quite manage to export it. I didn't export it, and I want to try it in game. So let's try it. Let's port this animation in game. So I will just open up the same project files from yesterday. So let's go find it. This is rig phase fix gallop. That was the galloping animation. Let's see. Loading up. I remember once I worked in a company and the rigs were so big and heavy that I could see some animators waiting half an hour to open up their scenes. It was crazy. So there you go. Now yesterday during the live I made this galloping action. As I said during the live, I didn't want to spend too much time on it. I just wanted to make sure it worked and then try it in game. So I think we can publish it and then try it in game. So I will go and I will check my... I have a document which I use to work with, in which I have some sort of workflow for publishing animation. So this is why I don't forget stuff. Some stuff I scripted, some stuff I haven't. So it's still a pretty handmade process. So for game export, I really can skip a bunch of things. One thing that it's a problem sometimes with these rigs is that if you export at 30 frames per second, when the game goes at 120 or 140, you get some weird interpolations. So sometimes I actually do the export at 120 frames per second so that the interpolation and the cleanup will be a lot cleaner, so that the interpolation will be a lot cleaner in game. Because in game by default... thank you. I think I need to grow an habit to the streaming stuff. Silent Sound is saying that I should grow an habit to streaming stuff to be a bit more relaxed with my work. I totally agree. Yesterday when I started this animation, my neck was so stiff because I thought, okay, I never animated a cat running. And I'm doing it live. I thought, okay, am I going to do it? And I wanted this to be working production-wise. So by the end of the evening, I was pretty relaxed in doing it. I felt I could have smoked a cigarette. Say I smoked, I would have smoked a cigarette probably doing it. And but rigging, I still feel that doing it live with people watching me, still a bit difficult for me. So let's publish this animation. As I said, I could publish it at 120 frames. Now the problem is that in-game, when we import animation by default, due to the way the rig is made, we do not resample curves in Unity and we do not compress the curves. And that's because of the facial rig, mainly, not maybe, sorry. So I can't rely on Unity to resample the curves and give me nice smooth motion. So maybe I could just try and export at 120, but let's see what happens at 30 first, and if it works, we will keep it at 30. So the loop goes between 1 and 17, and you should have exactly the same pose, except it doesn't. So I wonder what I got wrong yesterday. Yeah, this guy. So I'm going to just duplicate the first key to the last. There you go. And now I should get exactly the same pose, except this guy is also different. I guess, what was I thinking yesterday? So let's just duplicate this pose again. There you go. Now, hopefully, same exact pose. Let's save before it's too late. And the procedure is, let's select maybe only the objects which are of selected type. So you see, those are all the joints I'm going to export in there. That's a bit easier. I will show the joints. These joints protruding forward are the facial joints. I store the UV information onto the facial joints channels, and then those values are read in a shader that I've made in Unity and translated into Unity UV space. It is actually working quite neatly, I have to say, although it took a while to figure out, and I really want to make a tutorial about that at a certain point. Now let's go export the selection as an FBX. That's the standard format. I do not really to export geometry, that's why I didn't select it. There's a prefab in Unity, and it's going to apply the FBX animation to the prefab anyway, so I don't need to export the geometry and the skin cluster every time. I have my own preset that I set up in here. I'm not going to go through it, sorry, because I don't remember it. I'm not going to go through it, not because I don't want, but because I don't remember which settings I put in there. I stored it and I immediately forgot. So in here I have an upstream joint anim, that's the preset I was using, and I think I was baking animation, but I don't know why it stored it. Ah yeah, it's reading this guy. So between 1 and 17, everything else should be fixed. There's one thing that I really want to discuss about exporting animation to Unity. By default, Unity works in units, and 1 unit is 1 meter, while in Maya 1 unit is 1 centimeter. So if you keep the scale factor to automatic, the file is not going to work well in Unity. You will have to pre-scale it in Unity. If you toggle off the automatic and set the file units converted to centimeters, the scale is going to work in Unity without you having to do anything. That's the one tricky bit, I think, in going to Unity. I'm not sure that's something you have to do in Unreal, to be honest. I don't remember. So there you go. The problem is that I use a bunch of different platforms to work, and I immediately, the moment I switch to a platform, I forget about everything else. I guess my brain can't store too much information at any given time. So I'm going to go and find the project folder, which is somewhere on my hard drive. Let's find it. Animation. Let's maybe put it on screen, why not? So characters, we have cat and fish, that's a cat, and then we go animation, and in here that's going to be the cat, not the cat walk, but the cat run, right? So let's go there. I use this convention for which I have the name of the character first, then net, and then the name of the animation. It's something I learned when working in Unity many years ago. I'm not even sure it's a requirement anymore. At the time it was kind of handy. Now I'm going to export this animation, and once the animation will be exported, I will receive a bunch of errors, I guess, from Maya's exporter. Why not? Why give you safety when you can get unsafety, right? So I have some 0 values in there, which are for some of the joints. That's not a big deal. Well, actually, let's have it on. The problem is that I disabled the facial system when animating so that the system will be faster. I made my own rig. So in there, let's see. Ooh, what happened to the... Something going on in this facial system. I think it's not loading. So I made my own rig in which the facial system is a modular system in which every part of the face is driven by the same rig. And then these rigs are assembled in a nested structure like the one you see in here. It's quite handy if you need to change a feature, because you see, since the face system is controlled by an individual rig that iterate, you fix it once and it's inherited. At the same time, however, it creates the nested loop of death in Maya, which doesn't give me any issue, to be honest, but it can be a bit troublesome or cumbersome to animate or to manage. Let's export again. I shouldn't get the 0 error. You see how when I do something in 3D, boy, I check the messages I get. I read a lot, and they are not books in this case. I actually try to read a lot of books because I really enjoy reading, but in this case, probably half of the stuff I read are error messages from software when I work in 3D. There you go. And now I only have complex animation baked up there as an error. That's acceptable. That's because the curves that FBX supports are not the same curves that Maya holds. Maya by default, for instance, is in auto tangent, and Unity and FBX don't do that kind of stuff. If I now double click on the cut run with FBX Review, which is a handy free software you can use to review FBXs, now you see this creepy structure running around. If I manage to play it again, there should be a loop. There you go. And that's the creepy structure moving around. So now that I am there, I can go into Unity and I can import that animation. Why not? So in Unity, I can just drag the animation in. And I have to remember what I said earlier on. There's a cat run 1. What's this thing doing there? Let's delete it. I don't need it. So remember, I don't want to have any keyframe reduction. I don't want to resample curves. These two things are really important. Now, let's try and see if we can implement this run into our animation. I still have about 20 minutes or so to go, so maybe I will do it. And then I have to leave, sorry. I will maybe join again in the afternoon if I have something that I can do live, and I am not, maybe in 3-4 hours I will join again if I have something that I can do and in which my brain holds the pressure of the live and also the job itself. So let's do it. The animation. So in here we need, first of all, we need to stop the playback for a second, and we need to find, ooh, that took a while. Just a second, it's thinking about it. To be honest, these days I'm a little bit more familiar with Unreal because I happen to open it a bit more often than Unity. In general, I'm not very knowledgeable about the ins and outs of programming, for instance. I prefer to do visual scripting with, in this case, it would be Bolt in Unity, or in Unreal that would be blueprinting, which I do at a very basic level anyway. Wow, this is taking a while to unlock. What can I do in the meantime? Let's maybe, while this guy crashes, I'm pretty sure it's crashing and he doesn't want to tell me. Shy guy. Maybe I can start rationalizing the geometry of the rig. I know I said I wouldn't do it because my head doesn't handle it, but well, let's try anyway, and then I will pay for it later when I will discover that I broke stuff, right? So let's have a look. So I'm going to open a rig that I know, the last rig I made, so that I can replicate the structure. I should probably write this stuff down. In fact, I have an Excel sheet on a monitor you can't see, and on that sheet I'm going to store some of the stuff I do so that I don't forget. So there's a group named UTI Geo, and that group is going to be, I'm going to make the same group in here, and that group is going to contain the geometry. So it's going to contain the game geometry probably, well, without probably. The do not touch group contains the facial rig, the geometry I use for skinning as I skin, so it's going to contain probably these guys once I duplicate them. Oh, there's some history here. Let me just check. And then what else do we have? UTI Geo, the face cam move, I have it there. In here I have a bunch of nodes from Animbot. I use Animbot for this production. I actually purchased the license, which doesn't want to load now. Well, yesterday it didn't want to load. I don't know if now it's going to work. Let's see. Oh, it seems like it's working now. That's cool. Yeah, I'm going to skip this version for now. So Animbot unfortunately is storing all these nodes in the rig. They're not really killing performance if you have Animbot closed, but I don't like to see them around, to be honest. I rather prefer I didn't have them around. So the frog is stored at S. In the meantime, Unity is thinking about life. Not bad. I wonder what will be the outcome. I doubt it will be of any use to me. So maybe one thing that I will do while Unity crashes is to make it crash for good. So I will just go and find Unity and we'll just crash it. Oh, come on, be cooperative. Crash, please. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Unity. Crashing. And closed. There you go. Now I can reopen Unity and just force it. I mean, to be honest, if I were Unity, I would have crashed anyway, because I started the playback of the game last night during a stream, and then I kept it on, the computer went to sleep, and then when I reopened the computer today, it was still playing the animation. So I wonder if maybe this didn't contribute to the crash itself. Let's open up the game. It's going to take a while. I was very happy to jump aboard of a video game. I played the prototype and I really enjoyed it. And I thought, if I animate on a video game, everything is going to be real time. It's not, of course. I mean, it's better than, it's faster, let's say, than animating on a high-end visual effects rig. It's a bit faster. But there's a limit anyway. I mean, Maya it's a while that they didn't really update Maya as far as performance is concerned, in my opinion. And also one has to know how to make a rig that is fully taking advantage of whichever improvement Maya has made in the meantime. And that person is probably not me. I mean, I can rig, alright, but I don't know all the ins and outs on how to optimize a rig. I know a couple of things only. Come on, we can make it. Unity, you can make it. I believe in you. Pooh. Are we there? I don't know what's going on. I'm checking in the meantime. Ah, there you go. We're there. Oh, nice. So let's try those animations now that we can. So the run. Maya Unity kept the run, but it didn't keep the settings in here because I set them while I was playing the game. So those will be automatically toggled back to default once I exit the game. And the loop is recognized already, so that's fine. I'm going to apply this to the animation so that I will keep it. And then I want to find, there used to be a scene in here. I hope I have an animation test. There you go, with the cat. And the cat will come with its own animator. Let's find it. There you go, this guy is the cat animator. If you open it up, let's unlock this guy. There you go, we have the animator in there, and we're going to lock it so that the selection doesn't come. Simone, the outcome will be 42 for sure. I think that's often the case. Is there anybody in the chat who knows what Simone is talking about? What is he quoting? I know what he's quoting, but maybe not everybody knows that. So now in here I need to play that run animation. Let's see how that works. So first of all, I'm going to, while we wait for people to intervene and tell us where 42 comes from, I'm going to grab the run. Now the animation system in Unity is quite okay in my opinion. It could be easier. For instance, all these connections here, it would be a lot nicer if I could just reroute them, like in Nuke for instance. Instead, you almost always have to remake stuff. So what I want to do is I want to have a transition between a walk and a run. So if I select a walk and right click and go make transition and go to run, now the walk can transition to a run if there is a suitable condition, that is. So for instance, let's see what these conditions are. Right now the game is pretty to the bone. It's bare bone. There isn't much going on in game right now. If I save first, if I press play, oh, silent sound, got it. Simone, Galactic Guide for Hitchhikers. Nice. So, which maybe is now silent sound. I may start to know who you are from this. You might get, if I think, I don't know. I think I might know who you are. So In here now, the problem is that the cat you see is stuck on a running course. Not bad. And let's see why. You see that the animator is stuck there. So the walk, let's see what the walk does. So the walk is, so the idle goes into the walk if as a condition the speed is greater than 0.1. Then the walk will transition without any condition to the run. That's not what we want. So one thing we can do maybe is check what's the speed. So if I run, you see that the maximum speed I have in there, it's 7. So I can tell Unity, you know what, as a condition, if the speed is greater than, I don't know, 0.5. Oh, Silent Sound gave a hint. The hint is 0. Oh boy. Are you talking about the diary of Otto now? Let's see. Answer that. Let's see. So if I have a run in there, I can tell, you know what? If the speed is greater than 0.5, and we know that the maximum speed was 0.7, I think. Let's see. Actually, it's 7. So let's go back. If the speed is bigger than 5, trigger the run. Now, if I hit play, I should be able to, at the beginning, walk. And then you see that as the speed got higher than 5, I triggered the run. Not bad, we're getting there. Nope, it's a letter. It's the letter O. Sorry, in the meantime, I'm playing some sort of trivia game in the chat in which we have someone I worked with and I'm trying to understand who that is. So I'm a bit curious now. So while I think about the letter O. Oh, wait. Olga? Is that the person? While I wait for... Don't break the cover. Okay, I won't break the cover. Oh, I did that already. Sorry. Okay, I got it. Then I know who you are. Nice to see you again. Actually talk to you. Long time, really long time. So, how are you? So, in here, I was saying, we have the run greater than 5. We toggle the run. And maybe we can do that once we go under 5, we make a transition, go back to the run. So, if the speed of the run is lower than 5, where are you based now, Silent Sound? Oops, oopsie. So if I go with the speed less than 5, now the cat should go back to walking. Let's see how it works. It runs, then if I stop, you see it goes back to walking, and then it runs. That's kind of good. I think it's working. So now the problem is that the animation isn't looping. So let's make it loop. So I'm going to go grab the run and I'm going to go into loop time and enable loop time in there. That's going to loop the animation. And now as I press play, hopefully I should be able to do the full circle. Walk, run, then walk again, and the run should be able to, let's apply this change, and the run should be able to keep running. There you go, it's running, look at that. And then if I slow down, I'm going to walk and then run again. Nice. I really like to watch the bum of the cat moving up and down as it runs. I think it's quite cute. There you go. So I think in here, okay, no more info in the clear. There you go. It must be super hot in Italy. In here, I think today is kind of okay. I mean, I'm still with this is a woolen jumper. In London, summer tends to last for a very short time, or rather it's intermittent. Some days it's hot, some days it's cold. So now we have the cat running around and we have a transition between a walk and a run. The transition actually works pretty smoothly. I'm quite happy about the result already. I could have used a blend tree, so probably I'm going to use a blend tree. There is a bit of a problem for which when I jump and the cat is still, you see, running in the air. Oh really? You can't chat on LinkedIn without a premium? That's crazy. I need to connect to you, sorry. So if we are running and we jump, we still run in the air. Let's fix that. So let's stop the animation, the game for a second, and then yes, I really would like to have a proper summer with hot temperatures. So the walk happens if you're not up in the air. So in here there should really be a grounded option that the cat triggers when it's on the floor. So that I could tie the run to the grounded option. That would be really useful, right? Right now I can't quite do it. So I guess I think I did write something with Bolt. Let's see if I can reuse something I made for another character. Well, I'm going into uncharted land in here. So I'm going to grab the cat. I'm going to drop a new component of the Bolt type. Actually, I want to have a flow chart, a flow machine from Bolt. There you go. The flow machine is this animation updater. And the animation updater is a flowchart that I've made to read data from the controller that controls the movement of the cat. And it's going to output a grounded value, which I'm probably going to what's the name of it? It's a value I'm going to input here as a parameter. Let's see if that works out of the box. Hopefully it will. No, it's not working. So I have the ground in there. But it's really not working, and I think it's because I'm not outputting the data. Just a second. When this is becoming increasingly improvised, I mean, I would have never thought of doing something like this live. So I have made a tester myself where the fish, let's save it, where the other character of the game, the fish, has some variables, these guys. Okay, so these are the guys I need. I will copy this component, go grab the same scene in which I have the cat, which is here, I guess. It's more than 1 year I don't go back to Italy now, with this zombie apocalypse thing. So there you go. In here, let's see if I can just paste the component under variables. There you go. This is the rigid body vertical speed, however. I'm not happy about this. There should be a grounded value being printed out, but maybe that works only for the fish. Let's play and see. So we get the animator, and there's the grounded value is not doing anything, I think. Because we don't have an advanced. Oh, do we? Let me check. Sorry, this stuff is a bit difficult for me. So we have an advanced walker tutorial, which is outputting some stuff. But it's not outputting a grounded value, is it? Right now. and I need to get an animator there. Oh, this one thing, sorry guys, I shouldn't improvise this kind of stuff. I really need to think it through, because this is logic and I'm not very good at it live. So let's have a look at. So I have vertical velocity there. What happens if I introduce as a variable to discard the rigid body vertical speed? There you go. Now if I press play, there you go. I have the vertical. So I'm managing to no, I'm actually not passing the rigid body vertical speed either here. Okay, so now I know there is a problem. So I'm not passing anything. Okay, so I will have to do this off the live. It's too difficult right now for me to think through it in live. I have, however, made a successful export of the run animation, which was quite a good achievement. There you go. And now we have the gameplay transition. That's cool. And I also finished skinning that little frog I was skinning, so it's a success so far. Now I have to go now. Maybe I will come back in 2-3 hours if I have something else to do that I can stream and that doesn't break my brain in doing so. So I guess that's it for today, or for now anyway. Thank you very much to those who joined, and Simone and Silent Sound in particular. Thank you for joining. It was fun. We chat a little bit. At least I talked to someone. That's good. So have a good day, everybody. Bye bye.